In the spring of 1979, something strange began happening in the Soviet city of Sverdlovsk. People who had been perfectly healthy suddenly fell violently ill. High fevers, severe breathing problems, and death within days. The Soviet government blamed bad meat, a simple explanation, easy to repeat, and even easier to control. But the truth was far more dangerous and far more deliberate than anyone in the city could have imagined. The first victims were workers from a ceramics plant, strong men collapsing without warning. Doctors were confused. The symptoms didn't match food poisoning, not even close. And then the KGB arrived. Hospitals were locked down, medical records were seized, doctors were silenced, families were told to stop asking questions or face consequences. But there was something the KGB couldn't hide. Every victim lived along the same narrow path, a straight line pointing directly toward a restricted military compound on the edge of the city. That compound was known as Facility 19. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, it was one of the Soviet Union's most advanced bioweapons laboratories. Behind its walls, scientists produced weaponized anthrax spores, highly refined, highly lethal, and designed for military use. On the night of April 2nd, a technician finished routine maintenance. He removed a critical air filter, but forgot to replace it. For several hours, anthrax spores drifted out of the facility's exhaust vent and into the night air. No alarms, no warnings, just a silent cloud moving over the sleeping city. The spores traveled with the wind, invisible, undetectable, deadly. People walking home, workers finishing their shifts, families opening windows to cool the night air. None of them knew they were breathing in a biological weapon. By morning, the first victims were already dying, and within days, the death toll began to climb. The Soviet government moved quickly, not to save lives, but to bury the truth. Death certificates were rewritten, autopsies were restricted, doctors were ordered to diagnose food poisoning, families were threatened into silence, and newspapers printed the official story: contaminated meat from the local market. But the pattern didn't lie. Food poisoning doesn't move in a perfect wind line. Airborne anthrax does. Outside the USSR, scientists noticed something strange. Every victim lived downwind from Facility 19. The line was too perfect, too precise to be a coincidence. Western intelligence agencies began to suspect a bioweapons accident. The Soviets denied everything. They insisted the outbreak was natural and accused foreign governments of spreading lies. But the evidence kept pointing back to the same place: a secret lab, a missing filter, and a government desperate to hide its mistake. For more than a decade, the truth stayed buried, locked behind classified files and protected by fear. Then, the Soviet Union collapsed, and with it, the wall of silence began to crack. Former scientists from Facility 19 came forward. They described the missing filter, the drifting spores, the frantic cover-up. They confirmed what the Soviet government had denied for years. Investigators finally gained access to the site. They studied the wind patterns, the victim locations, the timeline, and everything aligned perfectly. The bad meat story was a lie. The Sverdlovsk anthrax leak was one of the worst biological accidents in Cold War history. A single mistake, one missing filter, released a military-grade biological agent into a civilian city. Dozens died, possibly more. The true number may never be known because the records were altered and the truth was buried. But the cover-up revealed something deeper: a government willing to rewrite reality to protect a secret program that was never supposed to exist. For years, the city lived with silence. Families carried questions they were never allowed to ask, and the victims were reduced to a footnote in a story no one was meant to hear. Even today, the full truth remains uncertain. Some documents are still missing, some testimonies were never recorded, and some answers died with the people who tried to speak. But one thing is clear: the official story was never meant to be believed. It was meant to be forgotten. And yet, it wasn't.